Welcome to r/legal advice, where people share real-life legal messes to get advice and support. Today's story is wild. I almost got mauled by my neighbor's dog, and then the neighbor tried to sue me. It all happened right here in our quiet Raleigh, North Carolina suburb, where leash laws are strict and everyone is supposed to keep their dogs under control. You'd think that'd be simple, right? But what started as a peaceful neighborhood turned into chaos fast. There's trouble ahead, and it's not just about the dogs. It's about lawsuits, injuries, and neighbor drama. So buckle up, because this story is just getting started. About 6 months ago, a new family moved in next door. The head of the household, Karen, brought 2 big Labradors with her. One was sweet and calm, but the other, Max, was a completely different animal. Max was huge, strong, and aggressive. He often growled and charged at people and other dogs without warning. Right away, my family and other neighbors noticed how dangerous Max seemed, especially since Karen refused to keep either dog on a leash. Despite living in a neighborhood with strict leash laws, Karen openly ignored them. She let both dogs run free in her open yard all day and night without any supervision. When I and several neighbors asked her nicely to leash the dogs or at least keep Max under control, she brushed off our concerns. Karen insisted she had the right to let her dogs roam freely on her property, and she ignored the leash rules as if they didn't apply to her. This dismissive attitude made us all nervous because Max's aggressive behavior was getting worse, but Karen showed no sign of changing her ways. Then, 2 months after Karen moved in, the nightmare began. I was out walking my small beagle when Max suddenly charged across the yard toward us. Karen just stood there, watching as her dog rushed at us. I barely managed to grab my little dog and keep him safe, but Max bit my arm hard enough to draw blood. It was terrifying to face such a big, aggressive dog all alone, and the pain was real. Karen didn't even apologize. Instead, she blamed me. She said I was making Max anxious by being near him, as if it was my fault her dog attacked. Despite the bite, I didn't file an official report. I wanted to believe it was a one-time incident and hoped Karen would finally leash her dogs and keep us safe. But deep down, I worried this wouldn't be the last time something like this happened. Karen's disregard for leash laws didn't go unnoticed for long. After multiple complaints from OP and other concerned neighbors, the Homeowners Association stepped in. Karen was slapped with several warnings and a $250 fine for repeatedly allowing her dogs to roam free. Despite these penalties, Karen remained defiant, refusing to leash Max or his companion during their daily outings. OP and neighbors began to document the ongoing issues, capturing photos and videos of the unleashed dogs running wild across the neighborhood. These recordings clearly showed Karen's negligence, but instead of cooperating, Karen grew increasingly hostile. She accused OP of harassment and claimed that her dogs were just being dogs and that the leash laws didn't apply to her property. The atmosphere between Karen and the neighbors became tense and toxic. Neighborhood gatherings felt awkward, with whispered conversations about Karen's attitude and the risk her aggressive dog posed. OP tried to keep things civil, but Karen's constant provocations made it difficult. She would glare every time OP took photos or even walked by with her own dog on a leash. Despite the mounting evidence and HOA actions, Karen refused to change. The community was growing concerned, sensing that this conflict was far from over. A storm was brewing, and everyone knew something bad was bound to happen. One sunny afternoon, OP was walking her small dog in the backyard when Max suddenly charged at them. Out of nowhere, the large, aggressive dog barreled across the yard, teeth bared and growling. OP barely had time to react. She grabbed her dog, but Max lunged and caught the smaller dog by the neck. The scene turned chaotic. OP screamed, trying desperately to pull Max away. The dog's powerful jaws clamped down, shaking OP's dog violently. Fear and adrenaline surged through OP's body as she struggled to pry Max off. Her arms were scratched and bitten in the struggle, but she refused to let go. Her sister, who was nearby, rushed to help, yelling for Max to stop. Neighbors heard the commotion and ran outside. One quickly called animal control, while another rushed over to intervene. Together, they managed to pull Max away from OP's dog, finally ending the attack. Shaking and bleeding, OP checked her dog, who was badly injured with deep wounds on her neck and broken teeth. OP's sister was bitten multiple times while trying to protect the dog. Yet, Karen showed no remorse. Instead, she blamed OP for provoking Max and claimed OP had used excessive force during the struggle. This callous response shocked everyone. Despite clear evidence and witness statements, Karen's denial added to the tension. The attack left OP physically and emotionally shaken, realizing the severity of the situation and the uphill battle ahead. The attack sent OP, her sister, and their dog straight to the emergency room. OP needed stitches for multiple bite wounds on her arms, while her sister required medical attention for deeper bites. Both had to receive rabies shots because Karen's dog was not up to date on vaccinations. The shots were painful and left them feeling weak and scared. Meanwhile, the vet bills piled up. OP's dog had several broken teeth removed, needed a skin graft for the neck wound, and had pins inserted to fix a shattered paw. The total cost quickly ballooned into thousands of dollars. The financial strain added to the emotional burden already weighing on the family. OP missed days of work, struggling not only with physical pain but also with fear and anxiety. Every sound outside made her jump, and the backyard, once a place of peace, now felt like a trap. Nightmares and flashbacks haunted her sleep, signs that PTSD was taking hold. Friends and neighbors offered support, but the trauma lingered. What should have been a quiet suburban life turned into a nightmare, all because of one reckless neighbor and her aggressive dog. The fight was far from over, and OP knew she had to stay strong for herself, her sister, and her beloved pet. Just when OP thought things couldn't get worse, she was served with legal papers. To her shock, Karen was suing her, claiming OP had intentionally injured Max during the attack. The lawsuit accused OP of causing emotional distress to Karen and demanded compensation for Max's medical bills, even though Max had been the aggressor. OP was overwhelmed. The idea of being sued after defending herself and her dog was almost unbelievable. She had already faced medical bills, time off work, and emotional trauma. Now she faced a legal battle that could drain her finances. Panic set in as OP considered how she would pay for a lawyer and court fees. She worried about losing everything she'd worked for. Yet, deep down, OP knew she had to fight back. The truth was on her side, and with evidence mounting, she hoped justice would prevail. Determined to protect herself, OP's boyfriend installed security cameras around their property. The footage captured Karen's dog running free and other suspicious activities. Soon, more neighbors stepped forward, sharing their own videos and written statements about Karen's aggressive dog and her disregard for leash laws. One neighbor's teenage son had filmed the entire attack. The video was clear and undeniable, showing Max lunging at OP's dog while Karen did nothing to intervene. This footage became crucial in proving OP's innocence. In addition to video evidence, OP's lawyer obtained HOA records documenting Karen's repeated violations and warnings. These records highlighted Karen's pattern of ignoring rules designed to keep the neighborhood safe. Worse still, threatening notes left by Karen were discovered. These notes, warning of violence against OP and her dogs, were handed over to the police and added a layer of fear and urgency to the situation. Together, all this evidence painted a clear picture. Karen was reckless, dangerous, and trying to intimidate OP into silence. Karen's retaliation didn't stop at the lawsuit. One night, under the cover of darkness, she launched a destructive rampage at OP's home. Security cameras caught Karen smashing the porch railing with a baseball bat, breaking flower pots and bending the metal frame of OP's hammock. She tore up the garden, uprooting plants and even pulling up small maple trees that OP had imported and cared for. The most shocking act was when Karen poured a strange jelly-like substance into OP's koi pond, killing all the fish. Terrifyingly, Karen left 2 handwritten notes taped to OP's front door. One threatened to shoot OP's dogs, while the other warned that she would have someone come and handle them physically. These threats shook OP to her core. The police took the vandalism and threats seriously. With the camera footage and the notes, they opened an investigation. An emergency protection order was quickly obtained, legally barring Karen from coming near OP and her property. Although Karen's car was seen coming and going from the neighborhood, OP and her sister haven't had any direct contact with her since the order was put in place. The ordeal had escalated far beyond a neighborly dispute, revealing Karen's dangerous and unstable nature. After the vandalism and threats, OP immediately filed a police report. She wanted the authorities to understand the full extent of Karen's dangerous behavior. The police took her case seriously, especially with the video evidence and threatening notes in hand. Within days, an emergency protection order was granted, legally barring Karen from coming near OP, her family, and their property. This was a critical step in ensuring their safety. Meanwhile, police began investigating Karen for criminal behavior, including vandalism, harassment, and threats. The charges were serious, and Karen's erratic actions made her a clear threat to the neighborhood. OP felt a mix of relief and apprehension. Relief that the law was on her side, but apprehension about the ongoing stress and uncertainty ahead. The battle was no longer just a personal conflict. It was now a legal and criminal matter. Realizing the complexity of the situation, OP sought legal help. After researching local lawyers, she found one willing to take her case on contingency, meaning she wouldn't have to pay upfront fees. This was a huge relief given her financial concerns. The lawyer immediately filed a countersuit against Karen, demanding compensation for OP's medical bills, lost wages, emotional trauma, and the damage to her property. They also filed a separate suit on behalf of OP's boyfriend for the destruction of his property during Karen's rampage. With professional legal support, OP felt more confident. Her lawyer was aggressive and passionate, knowing the seriousness of the case. Together, they prepared for the upcoming court battles, determined to hold Karen accountable for her reckless and harmful behavior. Faced with mounting evidence and legal pressure, Karen attempted to drop her original lawsuit against OP. However, the prosecutor refused to allow this, wanting to see the case through due to its seriousness. Frustrated and desperate, Karen repeatedly called OP's lawyer, begging to settle the matter quietly. She proposed offers that OP's legal team found insulting and far from reasonable. Despite Karen's attempts to backpedal, OP and her lawyer remained firm. They refused any settlement that didn't fairly compensate for the harm caused. Karen's efforts to avoid responsibility only strengthened their resolve to see justice done. Karen's lawyer soon offered a settlement that was shockingly low, almost insulting, considering the severity of the attack and damages. OP's lawyer reviewed the offer and immediately rejected it, pointing to similar cases where settlements exceeded hundreds of thousands due to clear negligence and harm caused by aggressive dogs. OP felt a mixture of frustration and determination. She knew this wasn't just about the money, it was about accountability and safety for her family and neighbors. With her lawyer's guidance, she began preparing emotionally and legally for the upcoming court proceedings, understanding it would be a difficult fight, but a necessary one. After several complaints and investigations, Max was euthanized as he was deemed uncontrollable and dangerous. This brought some relief to OP and the neighborhood, though the emotional wounds remained. OP's dog began recovering, but was left permanently scared, avoiding areas near the back door and showing visible signs of trauma. Meanwhile, Karen stayed mostly absent, dealing with ongoing legal and criminal investigations. Throughout the ordeal, the community rallied around OP and her family, offering support and hope that justice would prevail. The neighborhood felt safer knowing that their voices were heard and that the law was finally on their side. Looking back on the entire ordeal, OP reflected on the emotional roller coaster, the physical pain, and the mental trauma. Despite everything, she found strength in standing up for herself and her loved ones. She emphasized how crucial it is to know your rights and to seek legal help when faced with injustice. OP felt immense gratitude toward her lawyer, who believed in her case and fought tirelessly on her behalf. This experience taught OP the importance of community, resilience, and never backing down in the face of unfair treatment. She hoped her story would inspire others to protect themselves and to fight for justice, no matter how daunting the path may seem. That wraps up today's episode of R/Payback. If you enjoyed the ride, don't forget to subscribe for more epic stories.